Now, I've convinced him. I said, Charles, if you come down and watch the people that come out of an X-rated movie theater and watch the sleazy weirdos, they're all the types you'd never want to take your daughter out to a high school dance. And if you could see the weirdos and freaks, they look, I'd say 60% of the people coming out of X-rated movie theaters look like they're a shingle short. They're running on half a deck.
That's very sad. That's a myth. That's a myth, and now...
This is not a myth. It was printed in the Reader's Digest.
Oh, my God, the Reader's Digest. Now we're talking about the Bible.
No, we're talking about Reader's Digest, and I read a report by government agencies and jail authorities throughout the country. They did interviews on 100 sex slayers and people that had been very weird or had several murders to their credit, and they all delved very much. They all were regular readers of Playboy. They always say regular readers of Playboy, drive a Ferrari, and there's all that nonsense.
Yep, right next to their issue of Playboy was their issue of TV Guide.
Pardon?
Right next to the issue of Playboy was the issue of TV Guide and the Reader's Digest.
There's a proven fact in this Reader's Digest report.
Oh, boy. If you believe the Reader's Digest, then you're going to believe that perhaps the Dodgers will come back from 8.5 out.
See, I told you have all the answers. You're very glib, sir. You're the type of fellow that I would never want my daughter to go out with, whether you were studded with diamonds.
You'd be surprised.
No, I'm sure of it.
Thanks for the call, Don. We have to say goodbye. We are going to take a break for the news, and then we will be back with more of your phone calls. If you've just joined us, and we will be continuing our discussion for the next hour. We're talking with Bill Margold. He's an X-rated film actor and director. Retired FBI agent Homer Young, who's dealt with much of this stuff in his career with the FBI. And this hour, we're joined by Sylvia Sellers. She is a specialist in sexual exploitation of children. And Sylvia, let me ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have my own group called Prevention of Child Molestation. I was trained by a detective in the Los Angeles Police Department in the sexual exploitation of children, and I felt that I had the most excellent and best training that I ever could have had, because this man was the expert and still is in this nation, and in fact worldwide.
So you work with children, the victims
of... The sexual exploitation of children, which is in 3 categories. The actual physical molestation of children, child pornography, and also children, adults who were molested as children and never told anyone.
Oh, who have grown up and are now adults. Well, you've listened to our first hour before you came in here. What do you have to say to what you've heard so far?
The one thing that I would like to say, Mike, is that I also have worked with pedophiles, many, many pedophiles. We have taped them, we've done videos with them, and in every case, bar none, they have told me that they had been involved in pornography. And child pornography, in adult pornography and child pornography has 3 uses. One is monetary value, 10% of it only. The other 99% is totally consumed by pedophiles. The other use is it gets the pedophile through his dry spell. In other words, when he's not in a relationship with a child. But the worst part of the child pornography is that it is used to lower the inhibitions of our children. In other words, a pedophile will show this to a child that he would like to start a relationship with, and he'll say, look at this little girl. See what she's doing? There's nothing wrong with that. You're much prettier than her. And I have also had them tell me they've used adult pornography. And it is devastating, absolutely devastating, what happens to that child once they've been influenced by pornography.
Bill, you want to
Well, the whole thing is, I don't want this child pornography aspect, the utilization of child pornography and the brutalization of children. I keep on saying that the industry that I represent is vehemently against that. And I do not believe that adult pornography is used against it to lure children into pornography, into sexual situations.
It really doesn't matter whether you believe it or not, Bill. I'm telling you that those I have worked with have told me that they did use it. Well, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter.
I don't think the people that you work with, because they are quote-unquote sick, don't know what they're dealing with in the first place.
They are not sick.
They're ready to confess. They're ready to break open like ripe melons because they're so riddled with guilt, they can't wait to tell mommy what they have done bad.
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Pedophiles do not consider themselves sick. That's where you are absolutely wrong.
But when they're under the gun, they will bust wide open.
Oh, no.
Because when they are told that they are guilty, as in a confessional situation, they will just empty their innards out.
No, the only
Because they
time
are
they
living
ever
with guilt.
empty their innards out is when they are caught.
Well, you have caught them, literally.
The only
You've
time
confronted
they
them. Now
ever do.
you're giving them a chance to exist, a chance for them to speak their mind, so they empty their filthy minds on the floor. And you pick up the pieces that you want to find, and if you happen to see a piece of adult pornography down there, then you jump on the adult pornography bandwagon and say, that's what's ruining the kids of America.
No, I don't jump on it when I see a piece. They told me they use it.
Well, let me
I'm telling you that.
let me ask you, though, that if the pedophiles, the child molesters, admit to using adult pornography as part of their thing, so all child molesters use adult pornography, but not everyone who looks at adult pornography becomes a child molester.
Absolutely not.
So
No more than every child who's been molested becomes a molester when they grow up.
I think there may be people listening that this may be the first time they run into the word pedophile. And I think if you would define pedophile, then these people will know who we're talking about.
All right, go ahead.
Good point, Homer. A pedophile is an adult male or female who receives sexual and psychological gratification from a child. In other words, it is a sexual perversion in which the child is the victim.
It's a psychological aberration. It has nothing to do with the X-rated industry, as the mainstream X-rated industry exists today.
Tell me something. What is your first name?
Bill?
Bill? You told me before we ever came on the show that you had done everything in your industry.
I've done everything within the industry that I feel is within the realm of the industry to perform. I have done the S&Ms, I have done the acting, I've
What
written,
is
directed.
S&M?
I've spanked women.
Is that all you've ever done to women?
Yes, that's all you have to do.
Is
to
that
women.
entertainment? You told me you thought pornography was entertainment.
It is entertainment for those who want to buy spanking video.
Would you say that those people who want to see women spanked are normal people?
I think that they need that fantasy satisfied. I don't think there's anything that totally abnormal. What is normal? Normal is dull.
It may be dull to you,
I think it's dull
but it
to
is
the world.
not
They just
dull
want
to the
admit
normal
it.
person. Now, the question I'd like to ask you is, you said that you did everything in the industry. You've done
In
everything.
the X-rated industry,
In the
yes.
X-rated industry. Oh,
In
I
the
know you would not be in the
industry.
legitimate industry, that's for sure.
Yes, I don't want to be in
Now,
the legitimate
and they
industry.
don't want you either. You've told me that you've done everything. You've done acting.
Yes.
How many porn movies have you actually been in, the X-rated movies?
200.
Are you considered a star?
No, I am not considered a star. The star classification is reserved for people like The King, John Holmes, Jamie Gillis, John Leslie, Eric Edwards, Paul Thomas, Herschel Savage, Joy Silvera. They would like to call me a star, and if I had aspired to stardom, I would have probably done 4,000 films also. I didn't want to be a star. I wanted to be a creator in the industry.
Wait, you said just a few minutes ago when you were speaking to Stephanie that you were in it for the glory.
That's it.
But
A
you have
creator.
not attained any glory. Nobody's ever heard of you until tonight.
No, that's not true. If I
Except
can
the
mention-
police. You said you'd been arrested. Could you
I was arrested
tell me
twice.
what charge were you arrested on?
81 different counts ranging from pandering and prostitution to oral copulation to
Of a
solicitation.
child?
Absolutely not.
Never been arrested for oral copulation of a child, or ever molesting a child, or where a child
Absolutely
was
not.
involved with you?
Absolutely not. Nothing.
Never?
Never. Check my record. I live a rather model life. Very high morality situation. I very rarely drink.
You
I don't
might live a
smoke.
model life, but it's not high morality.
To me it is. I live in a very monogamous relationship with the lady that I'm with. Only when I'm paid and decide that I want to work in front of the camera do I break my monogamous relationship with the current lady that I'm with named Viper.
How much do you get paid?
When I work in front of the camera for acting, $500.
For how long?
Day, 2 days, each day.
Then you really are considered kind of like a fly-by-nighter, and the reason you're here on this radio show is because you really just want people to get to know you. Is that it? You've never
No.
attained that glory you said you were striving for.
But I have
That's why
attained the
you were
glory
in
because
the
I
industry.
have, in a press kit, been in more articles written about and been on more talk shows than any other person in this industry.
How many talk shows have you been on?
A couple of dozen, ranging from the Rona Barrett Tomorrow Show through all the Playboy Channel situations, through all the People Are Talking shows. I did, to mention another radio station, KBC, 2 Hours with Ray Bream on Tuesday. I feel that I can talk about the X-rated industry because I've lived the X-rated industry. Those who don't know what they're talking about shouldn't try and attack it.
Well, you know, it's really a strange thing that they couldn't get anyone besides you to represent them. Why are you here
Well, that's not
representing
exactly
that industry?
true.
I mean, I'm sure they have more intellectual people than you in that industry. What
That's
I
not
cannot
exactly
figure out is
true. I
why did
believe
they
that I'm-
designate you to
Oh,
represent
I
them?
believe that I was designated by the ACLU to talk here tonight.
Well, to represent the X-rated movie industry?
I'm representing freedom of speech
Why didn't the ACLU come on and represent them?
because they don't know about the industry as I do. They can't defend it as I can.
They know
don't
the
love it
legal
like I
aspects
do.
of it.
I want to
legal
stop
aspects
this
is not
right
what we're
now
talking
because
about.
this is turning into an attack Bill Margold, and
Oh, I love the attack.
that's
Oh,
not
I'm
the
not
point.
attacking you. I'm just asking you what your function is in that industry.
Well, the
I
purpose of our
perform.
show tonight is to talk about pornography, so let's do that. Hi, Roger. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Roger.
Okay. In the first part of the program, there was a question that Stephanie never answered. The question was why it's bad or is considered wrong for grown-ups watch X movies in our own home.
Well, Stephanie's not with us this hour, so why don't you just go ahead and give your comments, sir, and then we'll comment.
Well, that was the question. I mean, she never answered the question, and, you know, I'd like to know what, why.
You want to take this, Sylvia?
What was the question, Roger?
The question was why she considered wrong or bad for grown-ups watch X-rated movies in her own home, in the privacy of her own home.
I really can't speak for Stephanie, so I'm sorry I couldn't answer that question.
Anybody can answer that question. I mean, you know.
Well,
I can answer. There's nothing wrong with it. In privacy of your own home, you can do whatever you want. Consenting adults. Do you watch X-rated films in your home?
Well, sometimes.
Do you like them?
Sometimes.
Do they rot your television set?
No, not really.
Do you
Do
run
they
out
rot
and
your
rape
mind?
somebody? Do they run out and rape somebody after you see the movie?
No, that
Okay.
that was the point of the question. I mean, it's like when you go to the movie and you watch it like a Rocky, you don't go out of the movie and try to fight with everybody.
Any more than you watch the LA Rams and then go out and tackle a truck.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, Roger. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Hi, Charlotte.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to say that I do agree with Stephanie on only one point that she made. There is family unity. The family unit is, for a while, seemed to be disintegrating because of mobility, and it is becoming very strong again. I really disagree with everything else she said. There's been a lot I disagree with, but the one thing I want to point out is that in regards to viewing X-rated movies in your own home with children, I think that if parents use discretion, their children are small, they can watch this, if they so choose, while their children are in bed. When they are older, they can watch them while they're gone. And I'm not inferring that this should be done secretively or hush-hush. I think the most important thing in raising your children and teaching them the values is that a Playboy, again, parents have to use discretion. I do not find Playboy pornographic in regards to other magazines such as Hustler, We, and several others. I think that these things are, if they're placed there, and we have 3 children, the youngest being a male 18 with 2 older sisters. They have never, ever had to sneak a peek at anything. Their friends would come into the house, and we had a picture that my husband did that hung in our bedroom of a nude from the waist up. Children would come, their friends would come in and point the picture out. They would go, what picture? It was just a picture. If they're taught art, they are taught the distinction. It is there, and they grow with it, they live with it, and I think that's really what is the most important thing, and I don't think they lose their values when it's out on the street in front of them.
All right. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
Any comments? Sylvia, did you want to comment?
I never did understand whether or not Charlotte thought Hustler was pornographic. She said she didn't think Playboy was, but Hustler. I'm wondering if she did make a distinction between the two.
I think she said she did think Hustler was.
Oh, I see.
Did you have a comment on what she...
No, I don't.
Bill?
Well, Hustler's just slightly hotter than Playboy, the magazines. Pornography is in the mind, and that's where it all begins. It's how dirty you perceive sex. If you perceive sex as the healthy, wonderful, natural thing that it is, there's no reason, again, and I keep on reiterating this, for our industry to exist in the first place. But everybody has these little sordid nightmares running around in their mind about sex. They all giggle and titter about sex. That's something wrong. Therefore, our industry proliferates.
Well, you know, you make blanket statements, Bill. You say that everybody, you know, not everybody does feel that way about pornography.
Well, I guess
the
I'm in a
same
room
as
with
you
one
do.
person who doesn't. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
Everybody except you doesn't.
No, you're speaking, when you say everybody, who do you mean? Everybody in the world? Everybody in the United States?
The people who need our industry, and there's an awful lot of people who need it. And I
How many
use the
would you
word
say need it? Why do you mean need? Yeah, explain
It's
that.
in the billions and billions of dollars. Now, one or two people spend that billions and billions of dollars.
I didn't say just
I would
one
say
or two
there's
people.
75% of the population at one time or another experiments with the X-rated industry.
What would you base that 75% on? And could you give me
Based
some facts
on the
on that?
legitimate profits that come in through the video sales, through the theatrical industry when it was going full bore. I worked for 8 years at Hollywood International Films. I would go in every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the theater was full, and not with the same people. Every day.
Well-
People need to see what they don't know about.
75% of the people, it wouldn't take that much even as financially. If 40% of the people like pornography and
It's
they
not
could
like
afford
it. They want to find out what it's all about.
Sylvia, Bill separates his organizational ties from the pedophile stuff, the child, and you don't. You put them all in one group.
Yes, I do.
Why can't you separate them?
Okay, we can separate them, and they are separate. But I do know that I'm basing this upon all of the pedophiles and child molesters that I have worked with that have told me they use it to lower the inhibitions of our children, not only the child pornography, but also the adult pornography. So I realize what a devastating effect this can have on our young people, on children.
But don't they also use candy and money?
Oh, I think that's a thing of the past, Bill. Now,
Oh,
you and I
really?
both know that they're not in a trench
The man
coat
with the
anymore.
candy no longer exists.
But what about the
Very
people who don't want to molest children but who want to look at pornography? I mean, the analogy could be made that we should take away cars because drunk drivers use cars to kill people. I mean, it's kind of the same thing in my eyes. That what's the difference? Why, because a small group of people molest children and use adult pornography to do that, should we take all adult pornography away from everybody who use it not to do that?
Okay, you're saying that the ones who don't want to molest children but do want to watch
Right.
the adult pornography.
Right.
I believe, Bill,
Mike.
or Mike, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
I believe that we can never, ever legislate morality. There is no way we can do that. As a matter of fact, the same with our civil rights. We cannot make people not be prejudiced. I don't care how many laws we pass. We cannot legislate morality. That is true. But when a society legislates pornography, the kinds of things that we know factually pornography causes, then we are a society that is on its way down the tube, the same as the Roman Empire. And we all know Sodom and Gomorrah, the Roman Empire. We can name many civilizations that got to this point. And I firmly believe that that's where the United States of America is going to be headed if we continue making laws that legislate a person to do evil when every man can do that which he thinks is right in his own eyes. Because you see, if it affects someone else, whether it's little children, whether it's women, then it is not worth it.
Are you blaming all the ills of the world on pornography? What about
Oh, no, I
drugs?
don't blame all the
What
ills
about
of the world.
chemical greed?
We're
What
not
about
here.
the-
Well, we're not here to discuss that. But
Well,
if you'd like to later,
No,
we will.
I don't want to. Let me ask you, going back to my analogy then, if pornography hurts little kids, you know, cars kill people, so...
And women.
And women, excuse me. But, I mean, cars kill people in the hands of a drunk driver, so because of that, should we outlaw cars?
No,
What's the difference?
no, we should not outlaw cars, but we should stop drivers from driving while they're drunk.
Then we should stop child molesters and not take away everybody's dirty magazine.
Fine, we're trying to stop child molesters. But what do we do about the people who are watching, the ones who are doing this S&M, the sadomasochism, that when someone, say they are a little bit demented or they have a psychological problem, and they watch and they go out and role model and try to do the same things. And there have been many cases, Bill, you have to admit that too, that they saw these very things on those S&M videos. I don't know if you deal in S&M. I think you said you did, that you spanked a woman on
Yes, we have
camera.
S&M. We also have S&M facilities within the X-rated industry, a sidelight of the X-rated industry, where men can go and receive S&M treatments from professionals. Places like the Chateau. Professionals are handling these patients, literally, who go there and want to be spanked and want to be mistreated. Businessmen who mistreat their underlings go in to be mistreated.
Okay, but they're going in to be mistreated. We're not going there to view that, and we're not going there to view pornography.
But what you see on the screen is a manufactured situation. It isn't real, because how could I spank somebody so severely today and expect to use that same, quote-unquote, rear end tomorrow, all pink and powdered in a pretty setting?
Okay, what value do you feel spanking that woman in front of the camera has to the people viewing that?
Catharsis. We are a masturbatory medium. We get America off.
But
That's
who
the
said that
bottom
all
line.
America wants you
They
to be able
want
to
to
do
get
that?
off. Oh, and they do want to get off, because it's the pent-up frustrations, and we release those frustrations. The
Well-
bottom line of the X-rated industry is cathartic.
Okay, then you can release America's frustrations by spanking a woman's rear in front of a camera.
Certain men need to see that. That satisfies
But
them.
you said America.
Because they had been spanked by their mothers, and now they want their revenge. So they get their revenge through our films.
And so all of America needs to watch you spank a woman's rear in front of the camera.
Oh, but no one's saying everybody
Right.
has to watch it.
No one forces these people. A selected
No, the
group out
question
there
I
wants
asked
to
him, though,
watch.
Mike, was
But there are
what
selected
good
groups who
would that do?
Selected men want to see that. Other selected men want to see women in high heels and nylons.
What good do you feel pornography does for society?
It gets them off.
What do you mean by getting them off?
Catharsis, masturbation, release, orgasm. There are an awful lot of people who cannot experience that orgasm unless they have the pleasure of something, some stimulus that might help them along.
You mean you don't feel that they can reach a climax sexually except by watching pornographic movies?
Who are they going to be with besides their own hand?
Well, what happened long before we could ever watch pornographic movies in the United States?
They had their
of
minds
America?
to work. What do you mean? They had their minds to work with. I'm sure you can testify
Well, why
to.
can't we still use our minds?
But they are using their mind, but now we open their minds a little bit further. We expand their horizons. You can testify, I'm sure, to any number of, quote-unquote, the early black sock situations from the 1900s. The first film was a fan dance type situation. Little Egypt was captured taking off her clothes. There has been X-rated material in some form or another since the cave drawings in France, the Lascaux caves. And one of my companies is called Lascaux Communications. Those animals are not just sitting there smiling at each other on those cave walls. Man has always had sexual imagery
Let's take a
and
call.
uses it.
Hi, Ken.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask Sylvia how many pedophiles there were in the United States. Are we just talking about a couple hundred, or is it a large number?
Well, Ken, I'll tell you the figures that I've been told by the pedophiles. This is based upon the number of pieces of literature they send out. Now, these are only the bona fide pieces of literature that have been sent out. 1 million boy lovers and 1 million girl lovers. Now, that's from them.
Is this something that kind of becomes a vicious cycle, so to say, that the victims eventually become the victimizers?
Many victims do become victimizers, but just because you were molested as a child does not mean that you will become a molester. But many do. The percentage is very high.
Is there a cure for pedophiles? I mean, do they ever grow out of it? Or
No, they do not grow out of it. I do not believe that there is a cure for pedophiles. I believe that they can be helped psychologically by psychiatric help. However, the only cure, I believe, because I feel that child molestation is a sin, S-I-N, and there's only one cure for sin.
so you don't think the pedophiles ever really change then, even if, say, they find the Lord or whatever, change that?
Yes, I believe they can change if they find Jesus Christ.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for the call. Sylvia, do you think that pedophiles would not molest children if pornography didn't exist?
No, I don't believe that's a true statement at all. I believe that they would still molest children, but I believe that it is a tool that is used by pedophiles. Absolutely not. That is not what causes child molestation.
We'll take a break and we'll be back with more of your calls and comment calls. And this is Danny. Hi, Danny.
Hi.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to comment about the last thing that Sylvia said about Jesus and everything. I find that very representative of all the people that want to outlaw pornography and everything else. I think that all the right-wing, ultra-conservative and the fanatical religious people, they're trying to attack our values. They want to set their values for us. I think they're trying to undermine the whole idea of the democracy in the United States. The United States was not founded only for people who want to believe in Jesus Christ. I think it was founded also for people who want to watch rated X movies on whatever at night. I think by considering people who watch these movies sinful, I think Sylvia can believe that, but she doesn't have the right to set her values for the rest of the country. And that's one point I wanted to make. And I think that she's very representative of the whole wave that's going through this country of trying to undermine the whole democracy and trying to set religious values for everybody else, but even people that don't believe in it.
Sorry?
I am not trying to set religious values for everyone else. I answered a question of the caller before you, and I did not say that America was founded only for those people who believe in Jesus Christ. That would be ludicrous for me to say such a thing, when we know that America was founded for anyone who comes here. They can find sanctuary. You are very wrong. I did not say that.
But you believe that. You believe that.
I'm free to believe what I want to believe too.
Yeah, that's right. But you can't tell
I'm
me
not.
what I should do in my own home.
I'm not.
If you, I mean, that's one point. I think what is it trying to?
If you want to watch perversion in your own home, watch it.
See, you consider it perversion, and I don't think that somebody considers it perversion.
All right, that's my opinion. I'm free to say it's perversion, the same as you're free not to say.
I'm free to say that the Bible is perversion. I have the same right to
say that. That's fine. Yes, you do.
That's right.
That's absolutely right.
And I have the same right to influence your life as you have to influence mine. I don't think that just...
We live in a free country.
That's right.
All right.
That's
okay,
right.
That's the first point I want to make. And the second point I want to make is I think also Bill has it wrong. I think he said that pornography is for lonely people. And I think that's kind of wrong because from my experience, I've seen that pornography, it doesn't degrade women. I think socially it does harm because it lifts up women to such a godly level that people, lonely people that start watching pornography, just try to get away from women because they think too much of them after that. So that point also is wrong that pornography degrades women, but it also doesn't. Socially, I think it does a lot of harm.
Well, how does it do harm?
I think it does harm because it shows women in a light that they are not in real life.
Well, what films are you talking about? There are many degrees of the films there are, many storylines.
In the rated X movies, women are always ready to have sex, and lonely people, that watch them in their own homes think that, that's the way real life is.
But we deal in a fantasy world. We're not supposed to be emulating the real world. What do you think movies are in the first place but a magic carpet ride into the fantasies? We unlock the zippers of minds.
Uh-huh.
All right, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Hi, Keith.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, first I want to say this is one of the most enjoyable radio shows I've heard in a long time.
Oh, stop it.
It's been very exciting. You got a good cast of characters tonight. Let's see, one thing I wanted to say, Bill, you're the pornographer?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you're doing very good. Hang in there. There was a lady that called in maybe 4 phone calls ago, and she very much reflected how I think and feel in dealing with the subject of pornography and the education of children. I find it very sad that there is not a program for education with children in this country. I speak for myself in the situation at hand as it is now. And I think Bill said this also, that what we see in pornography is simply a reflection of the thoughts, the consciousness of mankind, and I agree with that. In fact, many of the people that I have dealt with, and many of them were upstanding pillars of the community, you'd be quite surprised to find out what really goes on in their minds. They live basically two lives, outstanding on the one hand, and then their secret sexual fantasies on the other. And through the medium of the pornographic industry, I think what we do see is simply a reflection of what people really think. And it's sad that well, Bill did say that it is, for most part, the pornography industry is trash, and I agree with that. I would like to see something done where there is more artistic value placed into it. And one other thing I'd like to say is that many times, and this has happened right on the street, one of the most pornographic statements I have ever had said to me, and I've had people speak this freely in orgasmic tones, and that is on the crucifixion of Jesus. Now, in my mind, that's very pornographic, and it's quite S&M. And for those people that come from a strong religious background, I think that they hold in their minds the strongest pornography at all, because they seek to repress the natural sexual urge within people rather than the beauty that it is, and that it is something that we also have to learn about.
Thanks for the call, Keith.
Thank you.
All right. And another Keith.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Well, I just had a question, especially, I guess, for Bill.
Yes.
You said you used to print a newspaper, Hollywood Star?
No, I still write, and I've been writing for the last 14 years, a publication called the Hollywood Press.
And what's in that?
Well, we have a news section, a music section, a legitimate film review section, which I write, and also a sex screen section, and then lots and lots of ads that you can call up for anything that you want, your heart's desire.
And how would I get that?
How would you get the publication? It's a news rack publication.
So any kid 5 years old with a quarter can get that and take it home and show all his friends.
Yes, and any
right?
kid with 5 years old can buy a pack of razor blades, too.
People think sex is dirty, is that
Anybody can buy a pack of razor blades.
That's right, okay.
That's right.
So, see, my main problem is I have nothing against Playboy. You got to be 18 or older to buy it. But you got a big problem in the fact of the scum that you print and that you have to deal with, that you're letting anybody, and you're influencing kids. You know, you have no idea what you're doing with it. You might as well put packages of dope out on the sidewalk and let anybody...
No one ever died from an overdose of pornography.
What was that?
No one ever died from an overdose of pornography.
Is that right?
Unless you eat the newspaper, and if you eat the newspaper, then I feel sorry for
See,
you.
they just ruin the rest of their lives because of it, is that right?
They ruin the rest of their lives because they're involved with sex? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm telling you that you are pumping unmoral stuff through the kids.
Unmoral.
Okay. Unmoral.
I am pumping unmoral stuff through the kids of America. What is immoral about healthy sexuality?
Healthy, there's nothing wrong with healthy sex.
Well, where do you cross that line?
Well,
have you looked at a copy of the Hollywood Press lately?
Well, not really.
Well, then what are you talking about?
Okay. You have many ads that have what in them? How to do what?
What do you mean, how to do what? It ads you call from, listen to things on the phone. You can get somebody to come to your house. You can go out to a massage parlor. You can go to an S&M parlor. Freedom of choice. I don't think a child who picks that paper up is going to run off to a massage parlor.
Well, you're making that, those kids will grow up.
I'm not making anything. No one forces anybody to buy the paper in the first place.
What was that?
No one forces the kid to buy the paper. If I had 25 cents, I'd go out and buy a pack of baseball cards and see if I got Don Mattingly.
You know, a kid is going to be naturally curious.
Good. That sounded like your kid saying that, which is rather interesting.
You walk down the street, right, and you see a naked lady jump out of a newsstand.
No, they're not naked. They are covered on the newsstand.
Oh, they are? Huh?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And then you walk down Pasadena, Colorado Boulevard, right, and you walk past a movie theater.
And you see Rambo standing there with a gun. You go out and buy a gun?
I'm not saying I agree with that either.
What do you agree with?
Well, I agree with the family unit, and I agree that you should, maybe you can go to your house, okay, and look at what you want to, okay, as long as it doesn't, first of all, involve children, okay, and all these pedophiles.
Well, the Hollywood Press does not involve children.
By the way, shoot them all, okay, that's easy enough. Get rid of all them. That's 2 million people you don't have to worry about right there, okay.
Okay.
But you go down Colorado Boulevard or any of these boulevards, you got a X-rated movie house or whatever it is. All they got across the whole front there, and you say, oh, we don't invite people in. We don't jump out and try to get you in. You can't walk by there. You got naked ladies hanging in the windows.
There are no naked ladies hanging on those posters. I know what the posters are. I designed those posters. We could not have nipple nudity.
They don't have any naked ladies on them posters.
There is not totally nude. No nuder than an advertisement in your current Time magazine.
They have a bracelet on their ankle, maybe, so they're not naked. Is that what you're telling me?
No, you don't know what you're talking about,
right,
sir.
Guy.
We got to move on here, Keith. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
All right. Hi, Gary.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In like movies like in The Devil and Miss Jones, like they make hell sound like it's not a bad place. So.
Well, how close did you look at that? Hell is like the most boring place in the world when she goes there. In fact, Damiano, who made the movie himself, is sitting down there bored to hell in hell.
Yeah, but like the people that see it, they think that hell's great. Like I've seen the movie myself, right?
Yes.
And people that I've seen it with thought, oh, it's great, let's go there, And they make it sound like it's real great. And it's not, because it's just a movie.
We're dealing in fantasy.
Yeah, and...
That's all it is.
It has to be fantasy if it makes hell look good. Because the fact is that hell is not going to be good.
Well, we don't know that, but...
I know that. By the word of God, I know that.
Oh, well, we don't want to talk about God. He has
No, I know you don't.
Thanks for the call, Gary. Scott.
Yeah, hi. I'm a first-time caller from Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
And I just have something that might be of interest as food for thought for your whole panel. I've been a porn moviegoer for a few years now. I'm 22 years old. And I've got some statistics that can, in my mind, prove that pornography saves lives and helps the human race altogether. I'll start with point number one is obviously it's a catharsis. A lot of millions of lonely men all across the country have no other sexual outlet. And with no sexual outlet, this building up of tension is a tremendous burden on these people. And by being able to go to a pornography movie, it makes them just feel better in general, drive their cars better, and they're just more happier people. Next is the majority of porn movie goers, I've been in porn movie theaters across the country, are from a lower socio and economic level. And these people, a lot of times, are either old and they've retired, or they don't have anything better to do, so they spend a majority of their time in porn movie theaters. Now, my guess is a gross underestimate that 1 million men a day watch a pornography movie for 1 hour. That's 1 million man-hours spent not doing anything. And I'm sure any criminologist or social worker or anyone that works in a high-crime district knows the first thing they want to do to accomplish a lowering of a crime rate is to give people something to do. And I think pornography, for those two reasons, a catharsis and giving people that certain type of men that don't have anything better to do with their time will lower the crime rate all across the board.
Well, obviously, pornography is not doing that. Our crime rate is higher now than it's ever been in history, and yet Bill tells us that there are more people watching pornography.
Yes, but the pornography does not lead to the violent crimes against women. The people who go out and perpetrate the violent crimes upon women are men who hate women.
No,
people who watch pornography do not hate women.
No, what he said was that it would lower the crime rate, that it does lower the crime rate, and our crime rate is higher than it's ever been in history, and you said there are more porn watchers now than at any other time
No,
in
I
history.
said there are more porn experimenters now.
Fine,
There are people
porn
who see one or two
experimenters.
porn films and never look at them again,
So-
and there are people who watch them on a regular basis.
So obviously the caller is wrong.
Well,
Thanks for the call. Sylvie, does the First Amendment issue worry you at all? That if we take away this stuff, that what's next?
Well, Mike, do you feel that hardcore pornography and video is covered by the First Amendment?
Yes, I do.
You feel that our forefathers had hardcore pornography in mind when they passed the First Amendment?
Not specifically.
Neither do I. So if they didn't specifically then, it's
Well, they
still
didn't
the same.
specifically name anything. They didn't specifically name categories of anything.
No, I realize they didn't. I
So
just
don't
asked
pick on
you-
me
no,
about
No, I
X-rated
just asked
films.
you if you felt it did.
So, well, you've answered my question with a question, but I still want to know if you're worried about the First Amendment issue in this.
Yes.
That what's next after pornography? Does that concern you at all?
That concerns me very much. And I think that we do need to be very careful because I jealously guard every civil right that we have.
This is a civil right here. You realize this. A roundtable discussion on a radio is a very, very civil right. That can be taken away by the FCC. They can say they don't want people to talk about anything that they feel like talking about.
Well, I'm answering Mike's question. Yes, it does bother me.
But not enough to not want to take pornography away from people?
No.
What is your stand on this? I'm not sure I understand.
I would like to have the Miller Standard that you discussed earlier with Stephanie. I feel that by getting the Miller Standard in the state of California will bring us up to that level of the federal law that will say that hardcore pornographers can be convicted in those cases where the cases are brought against them, rather than the SB 139 that has been accepted in the state of California, which would only land us in the appellate court, and we probably will not get any convictions. And the reason that I feel pornography is so detrimental to society is the fact that I don't care how much we would like to say our kids cannot go see this, they're not old enough, they're not even 18, in their cognizant nature, children really cannot consent to sex or not have sex, and to go in and watch it, I really feel that it's detrimental. I really do.
You want to say something, Homer?
You know, Mike, right at the beginning of the program, I mentioned that the First Amendment does not cover obscene pornography, and it was reiterated 1973 by Chief Justice Berger. It is not covered by the First Amendment. And you can do all the law researching you want to all the way back, and it's going to be the same thing. It is not protected by the First Amendment.
Right, indeed, but the definition of pornography comes up for discussion then. Is Playboy pornography? I don't think so.
Well, see, in defense of Hugh Hefner, and by the way, I'd also interviewed Bill Hamling, who's also a Supreme Court decision. Hamling and Hefner used to work together in Chicago. And when Hefner says, I'm going to split off and put out a magazine like the old Esquire and, get back to this, and Bill Hamling says, you'll never sell sex to the public. But look what he did. What Hefner has is a very fine legal staff, and they stay on that border from the old nudist magazines, the decisions by the U.S. Supreme Court. And in those decisions, the Supreme Court said, a nude male and female of and by themselves is not obscene or profane. Or in those days, they didn't even use pornography. They said obscene.
Right.
So they stay pretty close to the line on that. Now, sometimes they go a little over, and if you find some of these where they're starting to use a banana or a Coke bottle or some other insertion in the woman. But we got a conviction of Marvin Miller in 1968 on the book called The Name is Bonnie. And it was upheld all the way to the Supreme Court. The Ninth Circuit Court identified it as a book that was a vagina surrounded by a woman. And the only social redeeming feature about it was all the pages were in numerical order. That stood up. That conviction stood up. No problem.
We'll take a break and be back with more of your phone calls. I'm Mike Carruthers on the conference call on KBEST 97 FM and KRLA.
House cleanings. Found a lot of stuff I'd forgotten I had. Wide lapel suits, parking tickets, old peanut butter and jelly sandwich I forgot to finish last September. And then I found something really valuable. Old eyeglasses. What's so valuable about old eyeglasses, you ask? Well, being able to see. There are millions of people in this country who can't afford to see because they can't afford glasses. A group called New Eyes for the Needy helps. They use old glasses to buy new glasses for people who can't afford them. So you don't have to give any money, just your old glasses. This year, do a little house cleaning yourself. You'll find things you never knew you had, plus some things you never knew were valuable. Old glasses. Mail them to New Eyes for the Needy, Box 332, Short Hills, New Jersey, 07078. That's New Eyes for the Needy, Box 332, Short Hills, New Jersey, 07078. Thank you.
Did not infringe upon your rights. I feel the same way you do, but we have proven facts that it does infringe upon women's rights and the rights of children. Do you feel that pornography has No detrimental effect on women, no detrimental effect on children, no detrimental effect on society at all?
I think it has a detrimental effect if it's misunderstood, and if society is not educated and understands what the reason for it is.
Who's going to educate them as to what the reason for it is?
We as adults have to get the facts first of all and learn. We can't deny the fact that some people gain just plain old sexual gratification from this.
I hate to interrupt you, Rob, but we're just about out of time, so I'm going to have to say goodbye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Let me ask each of you for a quick 30-second wrap-up. Let's start with you, Homer. Final comments?
Yes, I think we're not trying to push our morals on anybody else. All I'm saying from an investigator standpoint is we have a law in the books. Material is being put out in violation of that law. And all we have to do is have the United States attorneys prosecute, and they'll do it. To go back to the U.S. versus Rydell, 1971 decision, it gives them the right to get into it.
Mm-hmm. Bill?
The X-rated industry is an exciting entertainment and educating medium that should be allowed to exist with perhaps some legislative action taken against it because we legislate within ourselves. But if we're going to be slammed down and buried by commissions that know not what they do, then beware.
All right, and Sylvia?
I do not believe that we have any commissions who are trying to do something that they do not know what they are doing. I believe that the Federal Commission on Pornography knows exactly what they're doing. I believe they've had some of the most expert legal advice in what they are doing. And I believe that pornography is detrimental to women. I believe that it is detrimental to children. I believe that it is detrimental to the family unit. And I would like to see the Miller Standard in the state of California so that we can begin to get convictions for those the X-rated movie industry that is showing these movies and that are showing them to children who cannot make decisions after they've seen that in their cognizant nature. Can't even say yes or no to sex.
Thank you. We've been talking with Sylvia Sellers. She's a specialist in sexual exploitation of children. Retired FBI agent Homer Young, and Bill Margold, an X-rated film actor and director. I'm Mike Carruthers. This is All Oldies KRLA, Pasadena, and KBES 97 FM, KBZT, Los Angeles.